Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Dude, seriously, that's the wrong line, and this is the intro, remember?
Oh, right. Welcome to the Discussion Alliance.
We cover the latest topics and news from all corners of the Star Wars universe. So grab your blue milk and keep your seals tight, because we've got a lot in store for you today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Discussion Alliance. I'm Aidan.
And I'm Kyle.
And happy May the 4th. Oh my gosh.
Another great holiday has arrived.
Yep. Not only that, but today is the 1-year anniversary of this podcast. Woo! Woo! We did it. 1 year of just sporadically uploading episodes.
Extremely consistent and organized production at the highest value you guys could expect. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me. Well,
I mean, we're still here. That's what matters, right?
Yep. We're still here. We haven't died or anything, so that's good.
Well, big thank you to everyone who has stuck around for this long. I mean, both of us. I think we mentioned this in either the episode, or maybe we've mentioned this multiple times. Aiden and I are both in college. Of course, we're dealing with school. Our second semesters are just actually, as of recording this, it's finals week for both of us. So,
well, I'm done for the semester. So,
what? Are you kidding me? I still have a week. Anyways,
okay.
Aiden's done. But point being, summer's coming around, right around the corner, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more episodes out more than we have during this school year.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe, but point being is we're gonna still keep up with this. We're gonna of course still be recording episodes.
Absolutely.
But obviously, way back when we first started saying that, we're gonna come out with one every 2 weeks. Maybe there'll be like a month and a half stretch now and then where we'll get like 3 episodes out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna update our channel banner on YouTube.
I would say the hardest thing for both of us is the fact that we both live in different parts of the U.S. and of course we're gonna have different schedules.
We're
gonna try to keep up with this as much as we can, and just thank you to those who have listened in and who have enjoyed what we've had to say. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's dang, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, okay.
All good.
But yeah, it's been a wild ride. I honestly didn't think we would be able to get this far. Like, holy crap, this is our 9th episode.
Technically, yeah. I mean, we had our first 3, and then we had our 4th episode. I think the 4th episode was sort of what put things a little bit back. If those who remember, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, there was no change essentially. But on YouTube, what we were thinking, an idea that came about is that was for episode 4 was the one that we were ranking all of our favorite Star Wars: The Clone Wars episode arcs.
Yes,
the arc consists of 3 to 4 episodes. We had a great time making it, but we went very long. It was like a 2-hour episode. So number 1, we split it into 2 parts. But then also, I think it was mainly me. I was pushing for this idea, which now I think about it, maybe not the best thing. But I was like, hey, what if we included screenshots and stuff of the episodes and like what we're talking about as the episode progressed? And so I believe I'm the one who edited it out for part 1. And to be honest, it works out great. And I feel like especially since we talk about so much stuff, so many different episodes, I think those screenshots are really helpful for you guys.
To this day,
follow along.
Part 1 is our most viewed episode.
Yeah, so maybe that has something to do with it. But then when we got to part 2, especially as I think that was around when the school year was ramping up for both of us.
Yeah.
But the sheer amount of time, I swear, folks, that it takes to go through each individual episode and the screenshot, the exact thing we were talking about, it takes so long. And so we just delayed, and then we were like, we're just throwing out the episode. And that's sort of what put us back a little bit. And then, of course, we resumed a little bit from there. As of recently, we got our first reaction video out, and we're slowly gaining an idea of how we want this podcast to go, essentially.
Yeah, it's always with podcasts. You have an idea, you just figure it out a bit, and then let's see. After
there's always testing something new and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, and see what works. Yeah, it's a very difficult process sometimes, but nowadays we're getting there.
I mean, for every episode we got a plan. I mean, thank you guys. That's all. That's pretty much what we're saying. We love this so far, and we're gonna keep at it.
Yes, because I mean, heck, we haven't even reached double digits yet. We haven't reached our 10th episode. I'd like to get there at some point.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm
done being on the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be here even after episode 10, so...
That's funny. Through my head, I was like, this is such a big... To me, this is a bit of an accomplishment. We're not even 10 videos in.
Absolutely. We are doing it. We are just...
Slugging and chugging. We're working.
We're getting through each day and just making episodes when we can.
Happy May the 4th to everyone. Again, a
Happy
fantastic
May the 4th,
Star Wars holiday. As of the day that we're recording this, which is actually, I'll admit, May the 1st. Today's 501st day. Another fun Star Wars holiday.
Wait, really? I wasn't aware of this.
Because of May 5th. Well, no, because of May's the 5th month, and then the first day of the month, of course, is the 1, so 501.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
for it makes sense here in the United States where we put month, date, and year. Outside the United States, maybe that doesn't make as much sense because
I had no clue about this holiday.
I'm gonna admit this. Ready? I learned about that today. I saw a post about it. I was like, I never thought about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait. We just learned something new today. Today is celebrating the 501st. Which
it's such a minuscule thing out of the grander scale of everything. Yeah. It's celebrated, but it's it's something.
Yeah. Oh my.
So, anyways,
God.
Happy 501st day, and
happy
whenever everyone watches
day
this,
as
happy
of recording this, and happy May the 4th to everybody watching and listening.
Yeah. Speaking of May the 4th, we have some details to list out about what's going on. I can list the first thing if you don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Like every year, or I don't know if they do this every year, but point being is Disney and Lucasfilm, they're gonna do a big, I forgot what they call it, not a mega run.
A marathon?
A marathon, yeah. They're doing a big movie marathon across theaters, at least here in the United States. They're going to be, for one day only, they're going to be running the Skywalker Saga, so pretty much episodes 1 through 9 in theaters across the United States.
Yep.
Cool thing. The main movie that they're going to be pushing, which I think will be more than one day, is this will be the 25th anniversary of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is a big deal. 25 years since the first episode of the prequels came out.
I'm going to be honest, yeah. I haven't watched The Phantom Menace in a while.
Out of the first 3, yeah, that's definitely the one I've watched the least. It's always Revenge. If I'm going back, it's Revenge of the Sith. And then maybe clips from... Actually, out of all the 3, I think the one... Well, I don't know. But yeah, definitely Phantom Menace is not... Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones for me, I don't watch as much. Mainly just Revenge of the Sith, but... I mean, now that Phantom of the Menace was not Phantom of the Menace.
Phantom Menace.
My bad. I was wording it as Phantom of the Opera. Anyways, folks, that'll be airing for multiple days. Not airings, but you'll be able to view that in theaters here in the U.S. as well. That's the main thing they're pushing for May the 4th, as well as they'll be having their yearly action figures and toys and whatnot. But
yep,
all the usual stuff.
And
then let's see. You were gonna mention, I believe, a new series that's coming out on May the 4th.
Yeah. By the time everybody is listening to this or watching this, Tales of the Empire will have been released. And It's 2 short stories in the span of 3 episodes for each, so 6 episodes in total.
I think, well, they're sort of basing this this structure off Tales of the Jedi, which was a short series that they released last year.
Yeah,
and that was
so
also 6 episodes.
This is technically like season 2.
Yeah, it's a bunch of short stories, which this is sort of like going back to almost like what the Clone Wars was, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, what I mean by that is like just how we're jumping around a little bit.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought about that. Anyways, that's another thing that's coming out, and I think that pretty much rounds off what May the 4th will bring this year. Regarding actual Star Wars news that's going on, we mentioned this last episode.
Yes.
But again, the Acolyte is getting ever so closer to being released. Again, it's coming out June 4th. I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
I've heard nothing about it ever since.
Nope.
Sort of unfortunate, but
yeah.
I might, but when it actually comes out, I don't even know if I'll actually watch the first episode. I mean, not because like I have this hate for it, but just that I'm not sure if I'll have an interest at that moment. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I say we get to the main news now. I mean, the Acolyte was like a little side thing, but we got some main news to go over. Again, our normal Star Wars, well, now every so monthly news.
Yeah. But anyway,
let's get into the meat of things. You lead us off.
Yeah. So first off, progress on the 2nd season of Andor coming along, from what I've heard, and what they are when they're expecting it to release, they somewhere around late this year into early 2025. Oh yeah.
Wait. Oh yeah, Andor. Yeah.
Yeah, season 2 of Andor. Oh gosh, yep. I think if I'm remembering correctly, they recently released the 4K UHD steelbook for it, actually.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Hold up, I'm gonna look.
Oh yeah, I just looked it up on Amazon.
That was something. Yeah, that's super exciting.
$56 to get the limited edition steelbook.
I see that. I mean, I guess their argument is how many episodes are there? 12, right?
12, I'm pretty sure. I gotta finish watching Andor.
Oh wow! How far did you get through it?
I don't remember, because.
Do you remember like what was the last thing you watched? Or, like,
I don't remember the last thing I watched. It was that long ago. Okay.
To be fair,
yeah.
There's like, I think I'm trying to remember. I think there's like 4 main sort of arcs throughout the story. There's sort of like the introduction of characters, then there's the heist, and then there's jail, and then there's the end scene. I'm not gonna spoil that if you haven't gotten to that.
Yeah, and all of that.
I mean, like the episodes, I believe it's like 4 through 6, maybe 3 through 5, something like that. Those were some slower episodes, and I think for a lot of people, not a lot, I think that's overgeneralizing. I do know a number of people who like weren't a fan of that just because of how much the story suddenly slowed down. I personally was fine with it, and then it really ramps up quickly after that point. So if I remember, I think I remember talking about this with you, and I think I think you ended just a little bit after there, and then I think I remember telling you like, hey, just give it a little bit more time, like it'll ramp up really quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing with me and my family. It's just that sometimes we start watching something or rewatching something, and then we never get back to it after a certain amount of episodes. So,
were you guys all watching it together?
Yeah, we were watching it together.
Oh, cool.
But we haven't gotten back to it. I'm pretty sure we're just gonna need to watch it all over again, with what we have seen and what we haven't seen. So,
gotcha. Well, yeah. I mean, I know I've said this in the past, so I'm not gonna say it too much again. But like, again, I loved Andor the first season. I'm really looking forward to this 2nd season. We'll include a link to this article and any other articles that we talk about today. But
yep.
The main guy who's in charge of this again, Tony Gilroy, he was quoted saying that they're finishing the second half now of this production. We weren't 100% sure what they mean by second half.
I'm going to assume like the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, that's what we were mainly thinking, was that this is probably they're finishing up the second half of production for season 2. But then there was the fact that this show will only be 2 seasons. It was we were reading on, we were realizing as like a reminder that hey, this is going to lead up right to where Rogue One starts, which is super cool. I mean, this sort of like how Rogue One took us right to where A New Hope starts off. I mean, almost, but like you don't really need that transition. This will take us pretty much right to where Rogue One starts. So I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be a little sad that we're only going to get 2 seasons, but at the same time, I'd rather have 2 great seasons than a few great seasons and then everything after that sort of jump.
And
so
pretty much
I'm going to be happy with what we get.
Pretty much just Disney milking the crap out of the property.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we can see, there's only so much. I think there's only so much they can do with Andor without diving super far back into like his younger days. But then again, how much of that would be interesting? I think all of this stuff that we're learning right now about his lead up to the rebellion makes so much sense, and
it works.
That's going to be like the main stuff that we're going to want to know as like how does he even get to the rebellion in the first place? And obviously that's what we're learning. So I think that makes the most sense, and they're making the right decision on that. Next thing.
Oh god.
Star Wars Hunters, the greatest game that we've been blessed with.
And definitely not just saying that because we saw it today and we're just like, what the heck is this? Absolutely.
Yeah, so apparently Star Wars Hunters is a game that's being released on iOS, so iPhones and iPads, Android, so tablets, some Microsoft devices, Samsung, etc., and Switch. And then we understood why we did not like this game. It wasn't because of that. But this is a game that was announced back in 2022, supposed to come out in 2023 or something like that. And then it was delayed. They released like a gameplay trailer. We watched that. It scared us. And then we just watched the reveal trailer, which just came out yesterday.
Right.
That would have been April 31st. I think there's 31
April
days.
30th, actually.
Maybe it's 30th. I don't. God dang it.
I know, it's hard sometimes.
We just watched the reveal trailer and, like, okay, sure, it's fun. And I have to remind myself as I'm saying this, it's a mobile game, but it just didn't look good.
Yep.
Like probably the first 20 seconds of that trailer of like the announcers just threw it off. It's like this is just a gladiator game skinned on with Star Wars characters essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like oh great, and another new Star Wars game coming out. It's just
just very for us. I'm most likely going. I'm just going to assume that this is literally for kids or something.
I mean, yeah, that
just
that's
based on how
nothing like
just based on what I've seen,
or...
it just feels like a kid's Star Wars game.
Oh, without a doubt, for the fact that they're releasing it on only Switch and mobile says something. Well, what's funny is that the best way I could describe the gameplay is a mix of Skylanders based on the sound effects and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But then they have some like Overwatch traits with like not like I think it's operators or characters, but like I believe there's like a medic sort of character, and then there's like gonna be some sort of gunner, of course. But it's just like, whoa, we're taking on a lot of different things for this game. So, anyways, coming out June 4th. June 4th is the same day that the Acolyte is coming out, so I guess they're competing for each other. No, I'm kidding. But
no, they're not competing.
Of course not. We just thought we'd mention that. It's just another. Now that I think about it, it's crazy how many different Star Wars things come out. Like we have May the 4th. We have the Acolyte. We have Andor Season 2. We just mentioned Star Wars Hunters. Something that we weren't even going to mention today, but I think I'll just remind everyone that we have a brand new Star Wars trilogy coming up in 2026. I know that's a ways out, but like that's just like another thing in the whole news atmosphere of Star Wars.
How many trilogies do we need?
I think it would be worth it if they took like a little like 10-year hiatus. As much as like I don't want that. Like I think the cool thing about the prequels, or even at least when The Force Awakens came out, think about how long it was between, like, for example, Revenge of the Smith, exactly. Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens. Like it had been a decade since we got a movie, and then between Return of the Jedi in 1986, something like that, or was it 89? And then I think it was like 80, or was it 84? I think it may have been 84. And then The Phantom Menace in 1999. It'd been like another 10, 15 years. And I think that's something that's important for Star Wars,
right?
At least with how they've done things so far, is that there's like this huge gap, and then they bring it back. And by then, you'll have new fans, and everyone's like, it's been so long. And then you have this brand new hype. And it's not like they're going to lose it in the meantime. It's just, instead of putting out so much right now, it just feels like it's just an overload.
Yep, that's the thing. Disney is milking not just Star Wars, but all their other properties to death.
So yeah, that's not to say that we aren't getting...
Let me rephrase. Yeah. Not to death, but extensively.
Extensively. A little bit more professionally staged right there.
Yep.
But, yeah, granted, I mean, there is a lot of junk, but we are getting some great things, such as what you mentioned earlier. Tales of the Empire, which is coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, I know we mentioned it earlier, but we just want to spend a second to go a little bit more in depth on what we've seen in the trailers, of course.
Yeah, it's the thing about Tales of the Empire. It's honestly more interesting than Tales of the Jedi for me, personally.
I have to agree with that, mainly because, let's see, Tales of the Jedi focused on Ahsoka. And then Count Dooku, right?
And Count Dooku.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is, like, those were great episodes, but we'd already seen them.
And then again, they're already like very established characters in the franchise, so it's just like, okay.
Yeah, and then now with Tales of the Empire, they've released 2 trailers for sure, maybe a third actually. But this is all covering characters that we haven't
really seen much of. AKA
one of them is
Morden Elsbeth.
Yeah, you lead with it. That was what I was going to go to next. Yeah.
Okay. So Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee, both characters we haven't really seen like much of in terms of backstory and all of that. Okay. Well, I mean, we have seen like Barriss in the Clone Wars and all of that, but we hadn't seen her since she confessed to everybody that she was behind the attack on the council, on the Jedi Council.
Barriss Offee, she was pretty much an unnamed character in Attack of the Clones in 2002.
All we knew about her was in the Clone Wars, I mean, is that she was the apprentice of Luminara Unduli, and she was really good friends with Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah. So, she was mainly, like you said, introduced in the Clone Wars.
Yep.
I believe it was season 2 with the invasion of Geonosis.
Yeah, the second battle of Geonosis.
And that's when we really learned about how Ahsoka and Barriss Offee like created their friendship and their bond.
Yeah.
And because there was so much screen time like set on Barriss, we got it was great character development. And then I don't remember us seeing her again until the whole downfall Ahsoka arc, right? Or was there anything in between?
Maybe, I don't remember. I gotta continue watching. It's been a minute since I watched Clone Wars, or even that arc in particular.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, as a little refresher for everyone, yeah, so we saw Barriss Offee was introduced in 2002, which was like 2010, maybe 2009. And then years later in 2014. Oh, wait, so maybe it's 2010 or whatever. In 2014, season 5 rolls around. And that was like technically supposed to be like the last main season of the show. and they ended off with a bang, which was that Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order, and a lot of it was because of Barriss Offee framing this bombing on the Jedi table. Jedi table. Gee, I cannot talk. The
Knights
Jedi table.
The Jedi
yes.
table.
Yes. The Jedi temple, and she framed it on Ahsoka, which was a crazy betrayal. Like everyone was like, "What just happened?" It was
such a twist.
Especially since the episode of that, the first episode of that arc, opens up about how they've continued being friends throughout the war whenever they've run into each other. And then all of a sudden, Barriss Offee's just blaming this whole event.
Just did like a full Ahsoka. 180.
And because of Barriss, Ahsoka left the Jedi Order.
Yeah, crazy. Now and we get to see more of her because it's been forever since that was released. And
I think one of the most interesting things about this is that they're showing the Inquisitors and how Inquisitors came to be.
Yeah, that's something very interesting. Well, something I find interesting.
Yeah, I mean the only times the only times we've really seen the Inquisitors and like pretty much Darth Vader's essentially Knights of Ren of like I don't know what else to call them like as a name, but there was like Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren, Darth Vader and I guess just his Inquisitors, but the only time we've really seen them is in Rebels.
Well, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but nobody talks about that.
I shut that out of my brain. I'm gonna be honest. Why. I erased that. That was gone from existence.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. I'm trying to even remember what was like. Yeah, Kenobi was just terrible.
Not a good show.
I had such high hopes.
Yep.
Anyway. That I believe. Have you read the? I haven't read them fully, but I've seen parts of them. Have you seen the comics about the Inquisitors, or at least some of them?
No, I have not.
I think they're going to probably build a lot off of them. Essentially, in the comics, they explain like how the training of the Inquisitors happened. How a lot of it, of course, is like now that you guys have trained. Like one of the things they reveal in the trailer is that there's like Barriss Offee and other pretty much Inquisitors in training that are training together. And then at the end, they have to face off. And that's something that the comics talked about, is that there's a lot of, like, okay, fight to the death sort of stuff. Like, okay, we're going to only have the people that are the best, but also the most gritty and dark actually be the Inquisitors. And so that's something that's going to be interesting, is see how far Barriss Offee goes with this. And one of the interesting things about her whole mentality going into this is we watched the second trailer.
Right.
Just before recording this.
Before recording this, yeah.
Yeah, there's a character named Lynn who enters Barriss Offee's jail cell.
Right.
And something I should note is that that character named Lynn was supposedly maybe a Jedi at one point. We don't know. And also she's escorted. Likely. She's escorted by shock troopers. So clearly this is taking place not long after like Order 66 and stuff like that. Like this is just in the early days of the Empire. And the most interesting thing is that she tells Barriss Offee, like, oh, you were right. I guess sort of like to convince Barriss Offee, or like,
yeah, you were right.
This
the
thing,
Jedi
like,
are the bad guys in this whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like she sort of said. Yeah, she was saying that, like, essentially to make Barriss Offee like, hey, like, I believe you're right. Like, you can trust me what I'm about to say. And so she tells Barriss Offee, like, I keep saying like, she tells Barriss Offee. The Jedi tried to kill the Chancellor, or the Emperor now, essentially. And
correct.
The first thing that Barriss Offee... Oh, I'm trying to remember what Barriss Offee says, but she doesn't even question what Lynn says. She isn't like, oh, what happened? Or like, well... Like, she doesn't ask, like, how does it happen? She just says, like, well, what does it mean for me now? Like, she immediately thinks about herself. And I think that's a key line that shows, like, she's very selfish at this point.
Yeah, I was just about to say sounds
she's
like
totally,
very selfish of her.
She's totally pushed away the whole selflessness aspect that Jedi are supposed to have.
Yep, she is Inquisitor material indeed.
Yeah. This is a side note. There's do you remember the Inquisitors from Rebels very well?
Vaguely.
I mean, obviously there's the joke, but maybe it's not necessarily a joke, because it is a cool thing about how the Inquisitors can pretty much turn their lightsabers into helicopters. Do you remember that part at least?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Star Wars Rebels, TV show that ran from 2014 to 2018. They introduced Inquisitors for this first time on live Star Wars media. And one of the things that these pretty much Dark Jedi, Sith, anyways,
right.
as that they had dual lightsabers with like this circular hilt, and they can make the lightsaber spin and spin so fast somehow that they could lift off as if they're holding onto a helicopter. It makes no sense, but it makes sense because of Star Wars. But then it doesn't make sense because it is Star Wars. You're like, why is it happening? But then you're like, this is so cool. Keep it in. And then so that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're going to use any of that in this as well. Anything that to that extent. I feel like that'd be such a weird scene just to see like Barriss Offee in training. Okay, now fly around with your lightsabers.
Whee!
Yeah, essentially that. Speaking of selfish and self-centered, I've been paying attention to the words I've been using a lot this podcast. I have used the words like and essentially probably 20 times. I don't know what's up with me today, but I'm doing real good.
Yeah, I am. I've noticed that too. Like last episode,
General Grievous. That was something that popped up.
Oh my god! Yes.
The trailer. That's probably
Grievous
like one of the most.
Was like a highlight.
It's probably
of a
one of the most. Yes, highlight. Perfectly said.
Was it because it's like, it's a brand new design that they only used like once in the Clone Wars season 7, and we never saw much of that until now. So, because
I mean, he looked incredibly
like
detailed, and also they changed. They've been slowly adjusting how the lightsabers look as well. A lot like when General Grievous gives one of the best examples for swinging his lightsabers, because his trademark move is to spin his lightsabers and essentially cut everything in his path. And something I've noticed in the animation style that has sort of changed, I think they began using it in season 7, otherwise starting with the Bad Batch, is now lightsabers are having more of a trail. Like a little wave behind them showing like where they've been. Whereas a lot of the stuff that they used to do in the original Clone Wars episodes it was a very static sort of, it was almost like a sword. There wasn't really this visual trail from the light or the lightsaber essentially. And so I know it's really minor, but like that was something that really stuck out to me for General Grievous, was the animation style of that, because it's so obvious now with him spinning the lights. It was like, oh, that's something that they've changed now. But then, again, going back to General Grievous, incredibly detailed, and I've noticed that they've really upped the quality on his eyes. Like you can see not just the color of his eyes,
but also like the skin underneath.
Yes, yeah, it looks incredibly good.
And that was just like, oh my, they really went all out with this.
Yeah, I believe the setting that he was in was on Dathomir, because like
because
Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, and we get to see her perspective of what happened when General Grievous took out all the Night Sisters. Because, like, in the Clone Wars, I forget which season 4. Though. Yeah, season 4. We do see General Grievous and the droid army kill all the Night Sisters.
Yeah, on a planet called Dathomir. And just like a 5-second understanding of why. For those of you who remember, Asajj Ventress, a Jedi, not a Jedi, a Sith assassin, essentially, of Count Dooku's, eventually was betrayed, and then she went to her home planet, and the Separatists followed her. It's pretty much as simple as it gets.
Because they found out they were because she was conspiring against Dooku.
Yeah, what I'm interested about that part, I assume that she's going to get 3 episodes, and then Barriss Offee's going to get 3 episodes. I'm wondering
I think that's the idea.
I'm wondering how they're going to explain her story, because back when the original Dathomir arc happened, they really made it seem like, or I swore that like Asajj Ventress was the last remaining like witch.
Yeah. Well, you can't get every perspective, so it's
true.
Going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, this will be interesting.
Yes.
I wonder if they're gonna show the droid battle as well.
Maybe
that would be cool. I mean, more droid battles. I'll take it.
Yeah. Back on the topic of Morgan Elsbeth, it's a very it's a very good thing that we're getting more of her backstory, because other than what we got in Mandalorian Season 2 as well as Ahsoka, we don't really know much about her. So I honestly think that it was a very good idea on the part of Lucasfilm and Disney to go forward with providing more backstory to her.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps that information, whatever we learn from Tales of the Empire, will change my view. I've, for a while, found her to be a bit of an odd character. Like in Season 2 of Mando, when we first were introduced to her, which was like for 1, maybe 2 episodes, when we also were introduced to live-action Ahsoka, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But her character was pretty much the protagonist as this this ruler of this city on a planet. I forget the name.
Mm-hmm.
But point being is she played the protagonist very well. There was a duel between her and Ahsoka, and the only thing we knew about her is
protagonist?
that Ahsoka... I'm not protagonist. Antagonist. That's the word I'm looking for. Antagonist. I was thinking wrong.
It's all good. It's all good.
But she had a duel with Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka pretty much ended the whole confrontation and then asked, where is Thrawn? And so that was a big deal, because it's like, oh, here's this new character who may have a connection to Thrawn all these years.
Right.
And then in Ahsoka, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off completely.
No, it's
but
okay.
Ahsoka,
you started first.
All of a sudden, that this character that we learned about and met in Season 2 of Mandalorian is now one of the focal point, most important characters of the Ahsoka series. It's like, whoa.
Yep.
And it really, in my opinion, felt like her character was thrown in, especially since we didn't really, like, we knew who she was. We knew that she was a witch and she had ties to the witches. I mean, that's really it. Now that I think about it, we don't really know anything about her. And it felt like it was weird to have this antagonist that we don't know much about.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me because now we are most likely going to see Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn, before he was Grand Admiral, meet.
Oh, wait. You're right. I forgot. In the trailer, they show him, don't they?
Yeah, they do show him.
That's crazy.
Oh my god, his design is awesome.
Because we haven't seen... Did we see Thrawn in... Okay, so Thrawn was first brought into Star Wars media, like live act
a while ago.
In Rebels.
Yes.
But then the only other time we've seen him, I think, was from one episode. I think in Bad Batch Season 2, they brought him back out of nowhere, right?
I don't remember.
They may have. Otherwise, we have like pretty much never seen him up until Ahsoka. So
yeah,
I think this is gonna be a cool return back to animation form for him, especially since that's how we were first introduced to the character.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Because it's gonna be how they met, how Morgan and Thrawn met, and why. Most likely, we'll find out why she is so loyal to him in Ahsoka.
Yeah, maybe they have, I don't know. Oh, never mind. Anyways, yeah, I think, I'm trying to think of, as we've been talking through this, I've been remembering, like, little bits, such as the Grievous thing, about the trailers themselves. I don't think there's anything else that's on my mind that
other than just, actually, back on the topic of Barriss Offee, in the trailer, I remember... when the Grand Inquisitor was talking about, now you get to meet your new master, or something around those lines. But when they showed Darth Vader, it was just like, oh no. Oh no. I think she's gonna find out, maybe she's gonna find out, Barriss, that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker.
Or I wonder how Anakin feels about that.
Holy shit.
I wonder how they're gonna show that reaction. Like, yeah, if Barriss Offee realizes who Darth Vader really is, but also the fact that Darth Vader is Anakin, and Anakin hated Barriss for what she did to Ahsoka.
Exactly.
And I want to know how that plays out.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in to the special episode of the Discussion Alliance.
Yeah, mainly just news. I mean, again,
news,
May the 4th right around the corner,
coming up and all of that.
And there's so much going on, so we had plenty to talk about today.
Yeah, and it's also just it's amazing how we've been able to do this for a year. Seriously.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
I almost thought that we were not going to be able to make it a year, but again, here we are. If you guys are interested in hearing more, we've got the playlist of previous episodes. And if you are listening, then make sure to take a listen to those if you have or haven't already. And if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I guess with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and may the 4th be with you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.